Well, good afternoon, West Ham fans. Russ, the West Ham Network. Hope you are all safe and well. It's Monday lunchtime. The weekends go so quickly, don't they? But hopefully you're still basking in the glory of our fabulous Sport Cup victory. Again, the boys got to the final again, and was it 6-5 on penalties after a 1-1 draw? Was it 5-4 penalties? I lost count, to be honest. But then yesterday, sort of the rest of the side, plus a couple of the guys from the pathway and a couple of academy players as well, played against Lille B side at Rush Green. I spoke about that this morning in terms of what happened and who impressed and things like that. But clearly we've still got a lot of work to do in terms of the transfer window. We've just under 3 weeks left. And obviously we play Sunderland on Saturday at the beginning of the Premier League, when it's the Congolese duo of Arthur Masuaku could be faced against literally position for position up against Aaron Wan-Bissaka. If they play Arthur on the left-hand side and Aaron plays on the right-hand side, they'll be facing off one. That's another. I did not have that on my bingo card at all. But let's talk about some more players we've been linked with. Spoke about Fernandez and Pellegrini this morning. But in terms of the forward line, I know it's not necessarily, we believe it's not a priority for Potter. However, there is a lot of interest in players, which we'll bring to you. And as I always say, I'm not saying we're signing all these players. We merely aggregate the news, the ITK, is it better if I go that way? The ITKs, all that type of stuff. So you don't have to. And we have been linked with over 202 players now. And we haven't bid for 222 players. We haven't inquired for 222 players. We may have been maybe a 10th across all the positions, I would assume, which, if you think about it, it's probably about right. It's about 3 or 4 each position, each sort of department. Anyway, let's talk about Castellanos. I had it before I started. Let's talk Castellanos. Tatty, his name is. Well, it's Valentine, but they call him Tatty. So I'm going to call him Tatty, which will go well at West Ham with obviously potato salad. But a player we've been linked with before when he was at the MLS, he then went to Lazio, Argentinian 26-year-old striker. Now, according to claims coming out of Argentina, Lazio are willing to sell Tatty for the right offer, admits interest from the Premier League. Now, we know Lazio need to sell. They need to sell before they can buy. Sounds familiar, that story. Emerson is one of their people they want. So actually, it might even be, I don't know. We haven't seen a lot of player swap deals this summer transfer, which surprises me, particularly with PSR and stuff like that. That could circumnavigate a lot of PSR issues in terms of outlay and return on investment, that type of thing, potentially. But anyway, the 26-year-old was the ultimate starter up front for Lazio last season, but some belief in his place in the team is now under threat with Sarri now taking over. They also have Idea, if you remember him, a guy we were linked with as well. He's turned from a supporting striker to someone who could definitely challenge the centre forward role. And as a consequence, the Lazio president and sporting director, Angelo Fabiani, it's not the same person, the Italian president is called Claudio Lotito. They closed the door on all major sales after being slapped with a transfer ban. However, according to Argentinian journalist Cesar Ruiz, he revealed that Tati's exit remains possible. And he said that Lazio and the player are both looking to potentially move the player on. In the same way, they might be looking at maybe even sort of offering a new deal if nothing happens. They believe they want an offer around 35 million euros in order to get them. In that case, the player will be given the freedom to decide what he wants to do. Claims that there's been offers from England for around 20 million euros, which obviously felt well short of what Lazio are looking for. So Again, another name would be linked to. I think this one's less likely, in all honesty. I think a ship sailed really when he was at MLS, because you'd have picked him up for a bit of a bargain, in all honesty. But we're still in the conversation, if that helps. Probably not. Sticking with forwards, let's talk about Idrissa Gueye from Metz. Now, according to reports, well, not necessarily conflicting reports, really. Personally, I don't know how far down the line we are with him. There's reports suggesting that we're in the final stages of negotiations. Those reports emanate from France, with the two clubs having reached agreement in principle, and also to have recently agreed personal terms. However, others, including the likes of X and Claret Hugh, suggest that we are nowhere near these sort of in terms of our discussions and our negotiations. He was linked to a move with Man United, but Man United haven't just spent 70 odd million on Sesko. I think that ship has sailed. There are other clubs interested, like Borussia Dortmund. They actually are offering to buy him and loan him back to Metz for the forthcoming season. That could be an option for us potentially, but I think anyone we bring in, we want them to play this season. So I'm not too sure what's going on with that. I've said it. Could it be this year's Simmer? Do you remember it was Ibrahim Simmer from Slavia Prague? Same sort of narrative. He's coming. He's not. Then he went to Brighton. And I think he went to Stoke on loan. And now I think he's gone out on loan again, if not. This one I think is a little bit on the back burner. I think the priority is obviously midfield. And then based on what happens with other sales, budget may be released to then go out and get, Simmer, if you're 18, looking about 15 million quid, bit of a punt, but I think you'll make your money back on him because you're coming from a Premier League club, and even if he gets a couple of appearances and doesn't quite crack it, then you could probably sell him for your money, or like 20 million or something like that. So you'd make your money back on him. We'll see. Will we make our money back on Mads Hermansen is the question. Obviously, officially signed on Saturday on the pitch as well, which was lovely to see. I love a signing on the pitch. Reminded me when I found out behind the fourth wall, I saw the script about 9 o'clock in the morning. I was like, I could be an ITK, couldn't I? But no, that's not what I do. And it had a feeling of not necessarily like Alex Song, but I remember when we signed Alex Song and we were like sworn to secrecy. Obviously, Mads has already basically signed, and it looked like he signed the day before, to be honest, when you look at the back of, behind the scenes type stuff. But great to see. Now, according to reports from X, was it X's report? I would like to credit the right people. Let me just bring it up. I don't know where it's gone. There we go. Yeah, from X. He says actually the final agreed fee was 15.5 million quid plus 2 million in add-ons, and apparently those add-ons are tough to achieve. So as X said, we can exclusively reveal the actual price for 15.5 million pounds with 2 million pounds worth of tough add-ons, so almost half the amount Leicester were quoted as confirmed by top sources in terms of West Ham. So, fantastic. 15 million pound for someone, I said, who could. I mean, we signed a 6-year deal, or 5+1. If he was here for the next 10 years, let's hope so, because it means if he's here for 10 years, he's doing a good job. But yeah, that's it, my friends. Keep an eye on the channel. We'll have Hammer's headlines later on. We'll also have a return of the Academy show. Will be back later, talking about some of the players out on loan. Some of the under 21s and 18s played some sort of friendlies as well. So we'll talk about them. But then the season kicks off. Actually, the season kicks off properly, I think, for the under 21s on Wednesday, away to Woking in the National League Cup, which is, I think it's called the Ventura Cup or something like that now. But anyway, if you like what we do, give a like, comment, share, and also keep an eye on Hammer's headlines, because I might put a little snippet of an interview we've coming up at the end of this week. Might put a little snippet in there. There's a little teaser, as the kids say. Anyway, much love. See you later, potatoes.